Welcome back. In this video, we will dive into the science behind persuasive writing techniques. According to Dr. Robert Cialdini, Professor Emeritus of Psychology and Marketing at Arizona State University, our minds work in ways that can be leveraged on when it comes to persuading our audience to think or act in a certain way. Dr. Cialdini, who wrote the best-selling book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, states that there are 6 scientifically validated principles of persuasion. Number 1, reciprocity. This states that we are obliged to give if we have been given something. One of the best demonstrations of this principle comes from a series of studies conducted in restaurants in the US. When you ask for the bill, there's a good chance that the waiter gives you a gift, perhaps a mint, when they bring you the bill. So, does the giving of the mint have any influence over how much tips you're going to give? You may think no, but in the study, giving diners a single mint increased tips by around 3%. Now, if the gift is double and 2 mints are given, tips don't double, they increase by 14%. Most interestingly, however, is if the waiter provides 1 mint, starts to walk away, but pauses, turns back and says, "For you nice people, here's an extra mint." The tips increase by 23%. So, to use the principle of reciprocity, be the first to give and ensure that what you give is personalized and unexpected. Number 2, scarcity. If it's scarce, we want it more. In 2003, when British Airways announced that they would no longer be operating the London-New York Concorde flight because it was too expensive, ticket sales the very next day took off. Nothing had changed with the jet plane or the in-flight service. What changed was that it became a scarce resource, and as a result, people wanted it more. So, to persuade others using the scarcity principle, you need to go beyond stating product benefits to telling them what they stand to lose if they do not take up the offer. Number 3, authority. We are more likely to comply with a request if it's coming from a perceived authority or expert. There's a reason why physiotherapists, for example, are able to persuade more of their patients to follow the recommended exercise programs if they display their medical diplomas on their walls. Better yet, get someone else to tell your potential customers how great you are. And surprisingly, the studies show it doesn't matter if the person who introduces you is not only connected to you, but also likely to prosper from the introduction themselves. In a study done with a group of real estate agents, they were able to confirm more appointments and close more deals by arranging for reception staff to first mention their credentials and expertise to potential customers before putting them through. As the results show, 20% rise in appointments and 15% increase in signed contracts. Number 4, consistency. People like to be seen publicly as being consistent with their past commitments, even if the initial commitment is small. In a set of studies, researchers found that very few people would be willing to erect an unsightly wooden board on their front lawn to support a Drive Safely campaign in their neighborhood. However, when asked initially to place a small postcard in the front window of their homes that signaled their support for the campaign, these people were willing to comply at a rate of 400% over a control sample. So, when using the consistency principle, initially ask for small, voluntary, and public commitments before persuading your audience to take up your main requests. Number 5, liking. We like people who we are similar with, who give us compliments, and who cooperate with us. An experiment done where a group was asked to introduce themselves by sharing something personal with the others first before negotiating saw a 90% success rate versus another group that was told to get down to negotiating straight away because time is money, in which case the success rate was 55%. So be sure to look for areas of similarity that you share with others and give genuine compliments before you get down to business. Number 6, Consensus. If others, especially similar others, are doing it, then we are more likely to do it ourselves. Especially when uncertain, people will look to the actions and behaviors of others to determine their own. In a study conducted in hotels, a small card was placed in bathrooms to persuade guests to reuse their towels. If the card stated the benefits that reuse can have on the environment, it led to 35% compliance. If it's known that 75% of people who stayed 4 nights or more will reuse their towels at some point during their stay, and this was stated on the card, towel reuse rose to 61%. What's more, if it's stated that 75% of people in that room have reused their towels, compliance increased to 68%. So this tells us that rather than relying on our own ability to persuade others, we can point to what many others are already doing, especially those who are similar to us. So, do you find Dr. Cialdini's conclusions intriguing? Now, let us apply the 6 principles of persuasion to our writing. Reciprocity. Give first to others and they will give in return. An example of applying this principle: here's your free ebook. Scarcity. People desire things more if they are considered scarce. An example of applying this principle: limited to the first 100 customers. Authority. People trust others who display evidence of their authority. An example of this principle: he has a 30-year track record in this field. Consistency. People like to appear consistent in their behavior, especially when it's in front of others. An example of this principle: thank you for publicly voting for a brand in our poll. Could you please leave a review of your latest purchase on our website? Liking. People like people who are like them. An application of the principle: get an influencer who represents your customer demographic and get them to endorse your product. Consensus. When people are unsure, they follow the majority, especially if they are similar to them. An example of this principle: on a restaurant menu, spicy fried chicken with secret sauce, most popular. Now that we have covered persuasion, let us look at persuasion. What's that, you may ask? Find the answer in the next video.